Right now, all the options of this select box do not depend on array of activities stored within activities constant, which means if I'm gonna go ahead and add one more activity to this list, the new object will be added to activities array, as we can see in here. But if we take a look again at that list of options, we still see here 3 initial activities. So our newly created activity does not show up in here. And to fix it, we're gonna need to somehow relate activity select options array with activities array, so that select box options will be updated anytime we're gonna add or remove activities. And right now, array of options for this select box is generated by using generateActivitySelectOptions function within app component. And right here we see that we also pass array of activities to generate array of options. But whenever this reactive array of activities will change, we need to call this function generateActivitySelectOptions again. So we already know to make one data dependent on another, we can use special function computed and wrap that part of code that should be reevaluated anytime one of the reactive variables will change into such closure that we pass to computed function. And this way, whenever we're gonna add or remove activities from activities array, this callback function will be triggered again, and this way we're going to regenerate activity select options based on new activities array. So firstly, let's import computed function from the Vue package and try all this out in the browser. So initially this list contains 3 activities, but when I'm gonna add new one, right away we'll see that our newly added activity will appear in this list. And this way we made activity select options array dependent on activities array. So let's continue and open up component activity item. Right here we have one local constant called seconds to complete. And this constant holds value for the select box on activities page. Let's open up this activities page in the browser and in Vue DevTools, select activity item component. Right here we can see that every activity item object that gets passed within this component as a prop activity has property seconds to complete with initial value of 0. So this is the value that should be used as initial value for all select boxes on this page. But instead what we have right now is we have declared separate constant seconds to complete. And this is exactly that constant which is used to pre-select values within select boxes. So first of all, let's just change initial value for this constant to 0. And after that, all select boxes on this page will show first pre-selected option with value 15. And what we will potentially need to do is to bind values of seconds to complete properties of objects stored within activities array in root component to every select box on activities page. But right now these values are stored in seconds. And if we take a look at the array which is used to render select box options, which is this period select options array within activity item component, right here we can see that the value property is stored as minutes. So first of all, let's just convert minutes to seconds. For this, let's go to constants.js file, and in here we're gonna multiply every value of value property by 60 to convert minutes to seconds. After that, let's open up base select component, and let's see what happens whenever we select value in this select element. So after we select the value, this handler gets called, which will fire custom event select to parent component. And along with this event, it's going to pass value which was selected. And right here we also convert this value to a number by using this plus sign. And here is the problem. On timeline page, all these select boxes have string values, because they allow us to pick particular activity. And as a selected value, activity ID is used, which is not a number, but a string. So after we're gonna select value in one of these select boxes, we're gonna see that selected activity ID constant has invalid value, which is not a number. And this happens because we try to convert activity identifier, which is a string, to a number by using that plus sign. And let's just change implementation of base select components in a way that it will accept selected prop not only as a number but also as string. We can do this by using the following notation. Let's assign an array of types to selected property in here. So in this case we allow only string values and number values. And then just to clean up the template a little bit, let's just move this handler within separate function. We're gonna call this handler select and pass selected value, which can be accessed in the template by using event object, like so. And then let's scroll up and create new function with the name select, which will accept one parameter called value. This will be the value which was selected in the select box, and then we're going to fire event with the name select and pass selected value to the parent component. And also in that place where we reset value by clicking on the bottom next to select box, we're also going to use our new handler select and pass in here null, because we need to send null to parent component in cases when the value will be reset. And before sending that value to parent component, we're going to apply some normalization. We will create separate function for that with the name normalize select value. And within functions.js file, right above generate activities function, we're going to export new function with the name normalize select value with one parameter. And here we're basically going to check the value. And if this value will be null, which we can check by using isNull function, or this value will be a string which cannot be converted to a number. In such cases, we're not gonna apply any casting and return this value as is. But when this value is a numeric string which can be converted to a number, we're going to convert this value to a number, as before, by using plus sign. And since we have used custom function is null, we need to import it first. Let's go up and import function is null from validators module. And of course, in order to use our new function normalize select value in base select component, we also have to import it. Let's write an import for this function in base select component. And just because right now isNull validator is private function, we need to export this function. And then let's group all public functions within this file in one place. After that, let's switch over to browser, and we notice that all select boxes by default have first activity selected. But in fact, that variable which is used as initial value for those select boxes has null value, so this is not correct. Because in this case, those select boxes should show default option as selected. We will take care about it later. And for now, let's try to reset value of this select box. And in this case, everything is correct. Selected activity ID constant has null value, and select box shows default option with a text rest. And if I'm going to select any other activity, I'm gonna get activity ID within this variable. And then let's also check how select boxes behave on activities page. First of all, I'm going to select activity item component within Vue DevTools. That variable which is used as initial value for those select boxes is called seconds to complete, which currently has value null. And when I select any other option, in this variable I will get respective value. And sure enough, if I'm going to reset value, I'm gonna get null value again. And select box shows default option as selected. So right now let's try to fix initial value of select boxes on timeline page. Because when there is no value within this selected activity ID variable, all these select boxes should display default option as selected. It's actually very easy to do. We just have to go inside of timeline item component, and where we have declared selected activity ID reactive variable as initial value, we should specify null. But for all those select boxes that are located on activities page, we're going to use 0 as initial value. So as we can see, right now all select boxes show default option as selected with a text rest. But once I start picking activities, right away in the console, I'm gonna get warning. This warning is related to select event, which is fired from base select component. So let's go inside of that component and check which validation function is used for select event. So the function is number or null. But now we also need to allow string values, so we're going to create another function to validate this event with the name isSelectValueValid. Let's scroll up and import this new function and remove import for isNumber or null function. And then within validators.js file, we're going to create an export function with the name isSelectValueValid, which will accept one parameter. And since we'll have to check that the selected value should be non-empty string, let's use another validator function for it called isNotEmptyString. And additionally, selected value can also be number or null, which we're gonna check by using is number or null function. And finally, we can pick any activity in this select box, then reset this value, and we're not gonna get any validation warnings anymore. So select boxes on this page work as expected. Whenever we pick any value in this select box, selected activity ID variable will be populated with activity ID that we've just selected by using this select box. And we will also check other select boxes on activities page. Let's pick first activity item component in Vue DevTools. And here we still have one little problem with this select box. The thing is that seconds to complete variable holds value 0. And this variable is used as initial value for select box. But select box, as we can see, has another option selected. So this is not correct, and we're going to fix it in upcoming lessons. And when we will try to select different value, we will get correct behavior, and seconds to complete variable is updated. Same thing goes when we try to reset the value. Seconds to complete variable in this case receives value null. And let's also open up console and make sure that there are no validation warnings when we try to remove activities. We don't see any validation warnings, but in fact on the first page we have a strange behavior. After removing activity, first select box shows empty value. We're going to fix this inconsistency later on, and for now let's finish this lesson.